Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, May 4th, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining me to cover the ANW Junior Semifinals for the 13 and 14-year-olds is Bijan. How you making out?
I'm good, man. We finally made it. Like, this is a very long season. 20 episodes altogether. I was totally not prepared for that, but it's been good times. Can you believe it, man? Next week, we will be covering the season finale.
Yes. I know I said last week that we would be doing the finals this week. We're actually just going to do the 13 and 14-year-olds. We want to give time to really focus on the finals and give everyone their due. So we're just going to do the 13 and 14-year-olds this week. And I don't feel like we were robbed at all because this was an amazing episode. I want to give it full attention to.
Yeah, it was a great episode, and I just know myself. I'm going to have a lot to say about the finals, so I am like, bro, we have to make that its own thing. But yeah, great episode, bro.
Now I know why some people were telling us to record our reactions, because I had a crazy reaction at one point of this episode for sure. I didn't see that one coming. I thought it was just because there were so many good races, and I thought, yeah, I'm enjoying them, but I'm not making any big noises. I'm not doing... And then I let out a huge gasp, like, twice in a row late in the episode.
I think I know what you're talking about. I have imagined like everybody did. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, let's get into it because I want to hear. I'm very curious about your picks. I have a lot of thoughts. I feel like in terms of the finalists in this age group, this is the most competitive.
Yeah, it really can go in a few different ways. So yeah, like you said, let's get into it here. We've got our first matchup. We had Annalise Grady versus Selena Van Heisenbrock. Started with a really good race. Selena took the lead by the double steps and it was just a little faster in the end. It was just a solid race, but not a great race, I guess. Not like blowing me away compared to what we saw later in the episode.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad that this started the episode because it gave a moderate bar. I feel like if this was sandwiched in between some of the more impressive runs, I would have stronger thoughts. But, good race.
Yeah, it was decent. Next up, we had Johnathan Godbout versus Lachey Lewis, the two flying shelf grab specialists facing off. And what a race they had.
Man, I was sleeping on Godbout.
Oh, really? You don't remember how great he was at the flying shelf grab?
I forgot. I forget what episode he was on, but I'm like, I know that name because his name's so unique, but I'm like... Is he like I don't know, but he completely blanked on me, right? I remember Lachey, and I was thoroughly blown away by both of these competitors. But Godbout, man, he has got that technique down.
Yeah, I remembered him because of his technique, and it was the unique way that he did it. The other ones all seemed to kind of do single moves through it, but it was two-handed. He has this he twists kind of like half sideways, gets one hand on it first, and then before bringing the second one on, and he just so smoothly glides through it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's great. He uses momentum in a very particular way, and it works for him.
Johnathan ended up winning it because of his crazy speed on the flying shelf grab in the end. Jay gave him a run for his money. It just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, but it was a really close and fun race. I really liked that one.
Yeah. After them, we had Blake Fearow versus Hudson Humphreys.
Was this a thing before where Blake's like obsessed with his hair?
I think so, yeah. They did do like some different stories too. Like when they did their little segments, there was stuff I'm pretty sure we didn't see before.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing. I like to see more like, I guess a more fleshed out storyline for them. We already know something about them, so, maybe remind us about them, but also show us something new. That's fine. As long as it fits within a short period of time,
Yeah. I did make some notes on their stories when it was, particularly interesting here, but a lot of it was just repeat, and they did a good job of summarizing them for the most part, right? Just kind of reminding you who they were before they took the course, which is helpful when you have a 20-episode season.
Oh, yeah.
So Blake versus Hudson. Hudson was ahead, and Blake was going like full tilt to catch up. He fell in the flying shelf grab when he tried to do a one-hand transfer, though. Hudson ended up getting the win.
Yeah, I mean, that was hard to see. It sucks, but I I applaud him for giving it a try. Like in the finals or the semifinals, I feel like in particular with this age group, the devil steps and the flying shelf grab really makes all the difference in the world. And it looks to me, if you're in the finals and if you want to win this thing, you have to master doing that transition very quickly without doing some like extra swings. So I give my props for him going for it. You know, at this point, you gotta try something.
It was like a story of the episode, basically, right? There was a lot of people that were behind and tried to make crazy transitions, some really cool ones we'll talk about as we go through. But yeah, this was the first of those.
Yeah, good on them. You know, they took the risks when they needed to, I should say.
It's one of my favorite things about Ninja versus Ninja, Team Ninja, whatever you want to call this. It's great to see people pushing themselves and trying to make those big moves to catch up.
Yep.
Next, we had Max Feinberg, the band nerd, versus Vance Walker, who had a triple story here. We have the Ninja boarding house. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy for sure. He has a 22nd second, the fastest time in the competition at this point, and films viral videos of his friends running the courses. Is like, this guy's very, very, very memorable in so many ways.
Yeah, Vance definitely stood out to me. Not only is he fast and fluid and everything, but you can tell he has a lot of experience in ANW, and that can really make a large difference, in particular if in the finals they change things up. Once again, we don't know yet, guys, but if they do, I mean, that would give this kid a huge, huge leg up on the competition. If it's the same course, that's fine. He's still incredibly, incredibly fast, but I mean, he's one of the few where instantly I'm like, I could see him in the finals.
I got a question. It's kind of weird to question this in like a little kid. I wonder about his stamina from what we see here and we see later in the episode. I feel like he was struggling a little bit, and he really kind of held up a bit at the flying shelf grab. Like he got a good lead going, but I feel like he was either getting tired or just underestimating Max, because Max ended up flying through them.
Yeah.
And it came down to the buzzer. I really, it shouldn't have been that close with the lead that Vance had going in there, and I know he can do it faster.
Yeah, I took note of that also, and that's going to play into a part when I give my picks, I guess, for the finalists of like who's going to do well or what we might see. Because one thing that really stood out to me is he does lack, or not lacks the wrong term, but you know what I mean? He doesn't take that risk that we were talking about when it comes to the flying shelf grab, and that could bite him in the butt at a certain point. That's it. I mean, he got close, but he still prevailed.
Yes, he did. Then we had Nate Pardo versus Kayden Madeleine. Nate was one of those other fast ninjas with a 27-second fastest time coming in. Kayden's
one of them. I mean, Pardo is the guy, man. Pardo, this kid is fast, and he's one of those kids where I feel like it's the natural athleticism. He kind of just powers through it. His style reminds me a lot of, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but like the Texas guy, the cowboy.
Oh, Lance Picus.
Lance Picus, thank you. Yeah, Lance Picus, where it's kind of just like I don't know if it's muscle or what, but just like a natural athleticism and strength flying through these things, like using power to get through them. And I think that's kind of just like putting a blank statement over it. Obviously, there's technique and a lot of other things, but Pardo, the way he goes through these, very, very fast with a lot of power. And yeah, it's a little raw on the edges, but man, this kid is just I don't even know how to describe it. He's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good comparison, I think, because the way Lance tackles a course, it's designed for being photographed and videoed, right? He's got a very strong technique, picture perfect in a lot of ways, but there's a power to it that's not kind of a sleekness that we might see with some of the other ninjas where they kind of bypass things and do things in quick little ways. He does like full big motions, and like it's a very over the top but very, very good technique.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you see him on the devil steps in this particular run, he basically throws his body downwards like 4 steps and catches his body on like basically the last step. I mean, it's not one of these things where people are just, grabbing the top with one hand of one of the steps and then swinging their bodies downward and grabbing the like a lower thing. Like, pretty secure, right? This kid just literally lets go and drops his body and catches himself. He's making big risks, but they're paying off in this case, and it's based all on power.
And he absolutely destroyed in a way we've never seen. 25.53 seconds. He absolutely crushed his courts. He made a huge jump. Kayden made a huge jump for the second shelf in desperation, like an absolute boss. I loved that.
Yeah.
That attempt would have been so cool if he could have done it.
Yeah, and when you think about it, Kayden was one of the top like runners also. He was no slouch. Like, his fastest time was amazing. So when you think about what Pardo did in relation to his competition, I mean, it's all the more impressive. Props to Kayden for even going for it.
Yeah, very big move, and he was, like you said, one of the fastest ones that were there. It just wasn't quite fast enough for Nate doing this 25-second time, which is crazy. The next ones to take the course, we have Gabby Romano versus Cody Hassan. Gabby trains with Jessie Graff. I don't remember that from her segment before.
I don't remember her training with Jessie Graff, but I remember her segment in terms of, like, she's the one that did, like, stunt double stuff, thing, like, all that, right?
Yeah, I think I remember her, like, with her family. Her family does stunts and stuff.
Yeah. So that was a story that stood out to me. I don't believe she ever talked about Jessie Graff, but it makes sense. It makes sense that, like, the stunt woman of Ninja Warrior would be her idol.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was cool that she got to meet her and everything. And the way the race went, though, I mean, this is always the hardest to see.
Well, here's the thing. So her fastest time was well over a minute. And Cody's was around 35 seconds, like pretty typical. Most of the ones running this episode were in like the 35 second for their fastest range, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And she just had a huge time deficit to make up, right? She had to go about twice as fast as she had before. And she did amazing at the beginning of the course, right? She was keeping up. Like, I didn't expect her to do so well at keeping up at the beginning, but she fell on the TikTok when her feet slipped. Like, she was just rushing more than she ever had to and just made a mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that meant that Cody was moving on. He would be the dead hang ninja who was able to hang for 62 minutes in the past. But then we moved on to Jeremiah Boyd versus Ethan Bartnicki. That would be
all right,
Lil Dollar.
Time to stop, because now my time to just lose my mind. Dude, this Jeremiah kid, where did he come from? Like, oh my God. I know I watched every episode, but I have been sleeping on Jeremiah Boyd like no other. Man, he impressed me instantly in this race. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, who is this kid? Dude, Jeremiah Boyd gives me crazy mad vibes of Adam Rail. And what I mean by that is, it is not, when we talk about these types of things, like these races, we're usually talking about the obstacles, right? Like how fast they can go through this or how fast they can go through that. With Jeremiah, that's not the key for him going so fast. It's his genuine just speed flying through the course in a transition. When you're on the feet running from one obstacle to another, there is like fire behind him. He's going so fast. He is just like, pew, like it is crazy fast how he is. This kid could like probably run a 100 meter in like nothing. And that really made the difference, because every single time they would get off an obstacle, it was Jeremiah Boyd that would just fly through to the next one and make that difference in terms of space.
Those are some great points. I had noticed that, but I didn't take note of it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know if it was worth commenting on, but you're right. You're 100% right. You could see that on the course when they got into a foot race, he definitely closed the gap.
Yeah, and did you see him all like they both got off at the same time from the shelf grab, right? But it wasn't even close by the time they went up that warped wall, because Jeremiah was like flying up that thing. And when you think about it, there's not that much difference from the end of the flying shelf grab to the warped wall. But yet, Jeremiah was able to be that fast to get up there.
Yeah, Jeremiah was ahead early on. Ethan actually took the lead on the double steps. So it was kind of a back and forth, but Jeremiah did end up winning in the end, for sure.
Yeah, Jeremiah, like, here's the best way I could describe it, because I'm rewatching it, right? On the Devil Steps, Jeremiah obviously gets there first, and he's proficient at every obstacle, but he's not next level. He's not like how would I describe this? Like, just somebody that's been doing it, like, all the time. Like Ethan, right? Ethan knows how to get through these obstacles very quickly. So when Ethan gets to the Devil Steps, he's going through it like crazy quick. And Jeremiah is at the halfway point of the Devil Steps when Ethan is getting off that obstacle. So at this point, we're about half an obstacle difference, right? Guess what? In that transition between the end of the Devil Steps and the beginning of the Flying Shelf Grab, which the only thing there is a little floating tile thing that basically is like, just make sure you run on the pads in the correct way, right? By that difference, Jeremiah is able to make up all of the distance, and they get on the Flying Shelf Grab at the same dang time. That is how quick this kid is.
That's kind of crazy when you put it that way. Yeah. Yeah, he did a great job. And moved on to the finals. And then we had one more qualifying race within this episode. We had Elijah Browning versus Sophia Lavalley. And I remembered Elijah Browning as being one of my favorites early on. I think he was in one of the earliest episodes. Sophia took the early lead and never looked back. She was just solid the whole way through and ended up bringing home the win. Like, what a great race for her. She did a great job. She had a little bit faster time than Elijah coming into this. I thought Elijah was one of the top times, but I guess it wasn't quite as fast as I thought it was. It's hard to compare between episodes.
Yeah, the episodes can really skew because you can only judge based on their competition, you know? And Elijah, I remember he was so fast compared to everybody else. I was like, man, I remember the kid, the surfer, or the skateboard kid, you know, with the hat. I'm going to remember that. I feel bad. I don't remember a whole lot about Sophia. But like you, I saw the stats and I was like, this is interesting. And I gotta say, I was very, very impressed with her.
So moving on to the finals, we had Vance versus Hudson. Vance had a really good lead going, and Hudson tried to go too fast on the double steps with a no-swing transition to make up the time. But Vance wins with a 27-second time.
That's crazy quick. And props to Hudson, he had to go for it because he was a full obstacle behind at that point. And once again, though, Vance, he stopped at the second Flying Shelf Grab. He did one transition, so he immediately got on the first one and swung to the second, but then he did an extra swing. If you look at Hudson, if he were to be able to do that full transition, like 1, 2, 3 without any stops, he could have had a very good chance of beating Vance. That can play a major factor when we go into these finals here.
Yeah, I think I said double steps. It was the Flying Shelf Grab. He tried to... That full move that he was going to do, that would have saved a heck of a lot of time. But unfortunately, didn't work out this time. Vance ends up getting the win with one of the fastest times we've seen. Moving on, we had Jonathan versus Selena. And Jonathan's best time leading up to this was 27 seconds, and Selena's was 41. So we knew it was going to be kind of a long shot here. They were dead even to the Flying Shelf. Like, she absolutely brought it in this final, like trying her best to keep up, but she hesitated. Like, they're just dead even, and she stops instead of jumping for the Flying Shelf Grab. When we know Jonathan is amazing at the Flying Shelf Grab, like, she would have had to go full tilt to have any hope there, and hesitating, that was it. It was done.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, she really didn't have a chance when it came to the point where they were neck and neck at that Flying Shelf Grab. Godbout is just, he's amazing when it comes to the Flying Shelf Grab, but every scenario is different, and maybe he would have slipped up. Who knows?
Yeah, if she had jumped, it could have put pressure on him, and he could have made a mistake. But
yeah. I feel bad because for her, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where I just hope she doesn't look back and like beats herself up over like what could have been or blah, blah, blah. I hope she just takes this as a positive experience. I always feel bad when it's the mental errors that cause issues.
Yeah, but I mean, she did fantastic, like all the way through the competition.
Yeah, she was amazing.
She was great. She's going to get better and better. I feel like when we saw her before, wasn't she hasn't been doing it very long. It seemed like it wasn't her focus or something. There was something about her story that was like, wow, imagine if she like went full out ninja.
Yeah, I think that was her, but I mean, there were so many cases of that. I just can't remember.
Yeah. Next up, we had Cody versus Nate. Nate is the one that had the amazing 25-second time. Cody's best to this point was 37. So it was like, well, and they look like David and Goliath,
Man.
as they said. Oh my God, the size difference between these two.
It looks like the older brother and the little brother. I mean, they look so different. One looks like a full-on teenager, like I don't know, like a 16-year-old, and the other looks like he's like next to him at least looks like he'd be like the 8-year-old brother.
Yeah, it was a pretty jarring difference. And Nate took off like a bullet. Everything was looking great, but he fell on the flying shelf grab, and I let out a huge gasp. He had this big lead, and he falls on there, and I couldn't believe it. Like, this guy that had the absolute fastest time, just crushing it early on, makes it just an error in judgment. It ends up taking a spill.
It's scary because he was 2 full obstacles ahead at this point. He could have just, like took the cautious route, and he well, I mean, let's be real, he should have.
Yeah,
but
he really should have.
I will, for his defense, similar thing happened with Vance earlier in this episode, where he did take the cautious route because he was ahead of his competitor, and at the very last second, his competitor caught up and almost beat Vance. So, to his credit, there is that. But I mean, what this does show is that he is susceptible of making too rash of I forget the term, but like not errors, but risks. He's making too many risks where they're not there, and he's still not refined enough in terms of technique to like really go for them sometimes. So that is something to keep an eye out for, because going into the finals, he is a big question mark. He goes for it, which I appreciate, but you just don't know if he's going to get it. But that type of style, I must say, awesome. Go for broke. You either win everything or you fail trying. Good for him. That said, man, the drama was real, right, Rich? Like, you're like,
yeah.
Is really the kid that's the fastest about to be eliminated?
Exactly. I'm like, he was way ahead. There's no way. Like, I just, big gasp. But a fraction of the noise that I made when Cody then fell on the double steps. Like, he's 2 obstacles behind, as you said. A very strong competitor. We've seen him do well before, but makes a slip up and ends up falling and saving Nate's behind. Nate ends up moving on because Cody fell on the double steps.
Dude, I was stunned. I mean, we've seen Cody multiple times complete this obstacle. It's not like he can't do it. I don't know what happened, man. Maybe he drained himself out catching himself. Like, maybe he stumbled and we just didn't see it, or I didn't see it. But it could have been a case where he just spent all of his energy rebounding from that.
It could be. It was the first fall for both of them, right? They're both very strong competitors. It was a shocking run for sure.
Shocking all around, honestly.
Yeah. So that meant that Nate was moving on to the finals. Thank God, because he deserved to. He's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
That left Jeremiah versus Sophia as the last race of the episode. Jeremiah got the lead and bring home the win with a narrow victory. It was a very close race, but Sophia just wasn't quite fast enough.
Yeah, it's one of those cases again. Jeremiah is so incredibly fast in the transition between obstacles. He's decent in all the obstacles, but it really, what makes a difference for him is the speed between them. And what I really like when we look at these 4 finalists is they all have very different styles that make them do well. And it's a huge head scratcher of who's gonna win, man. I mean, this is the one I'm most excited about.
Me too. I'm looking at this. I was thinking that as they were finishing, I thought, geez, now I can't pick between them. We have finalists. We have Vance Walker, Johnathan Godbout, Nate Pardo, and Jeremiah Boyd.
Yeah.
Now, the first 3...
If it's the style... I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just thought about this because we didn't cover it last episode this way. They already have the bracket filled out or formulated. So it's going to be Vance versus Godbout, and it's going to be Jeremiah versus... Pardo, I think is his name. So Those are the matchups. So really, we can already make picks or guesses of who's going to go where. So for Jeremiah and Pardo, who do you think's getting that one?
I think Nate's got that easily.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to go Jeremiah. And
Really?
just to play the spoiler, because I know Pardo is powering through and he's amazing and he's probably the one to beat. But I think Jeremiah can play major spoiler because it just takes one slip up for Pardo in any of the obstacles. And Jeremiah is going to get him because he is very, very fast in the transitions.
I liked Jeremiah, but it sounds like you're way more up on him than I was. Of the 4, I would have placed him 4th.
I understand that. And I think for me, it's more of I want to see something different from what everybody probably is guessing. Pardo is most likely the one to beat, but I think there's a big major chance where anything like this happens for Pardo in the finals, Jeremiah he's not gonna slip up like that. Jeremiah goes slower in the obstacles. I guess this is the example. Or the way this matchup is going to go. We have somebody that's probably the fastest between obstacles, and somebody is the fastest in the transition between obstacles. Now, the obstacles obviously are the major point, but any slip up where it can be more evened, I can see Jeremiah just beating him out in the very end. Let's see.
All right. That'll be interesting. So what about the other matchup, Vance versus Johnathan?
Now, this might be, I think they are both amazing. And I think Vance is quicker with the initial obstacles, but the major difference for me is Godbout is the kid that just amazingly goes through those flying shelf grabs, and I think that's going to make the difference. I'm actually picking Godbout.
Yeah, I have to agree with that pick. And same reasoning. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I would have sworn you were going to pick Vance. I feel like most people are guessing Vance is going to make it through. Look at us, both going for the underdog.
Yeah, I feel like Vance probably is the favorite technically, but for the same reason that I do think that the flying shelf grab is going to make the difference, and I don't know that Vance is going to give it the attention that it needs. I guess I feel like Jonathan's going to. I feel like Vance is going to hit them first, and Jonathan's going to blow past him.
Mm-hmm. So in the finals, I'll just say, if Pardo beats Jeremiah, I 100% Pardo's winning. I think Pardo's winning the whole thing. But if Jeremiah doesn't, I can actually see Godbout winning. What about you?
Yeah, I guess I got Pardo to win it all. I say Nate versus Johnathan in the finals. And Nate wins it.
Yeah, I think Nate is the obvious one to beat. Part of me just wants to see something that's not what everybody's expecting.
Yeah, I think that fall shook him. You could see he was pretty upset by it, and people were kind of talking to him. I don't think that he's going to take that and get in his own head. I think he's going to make sure that he does it perfectly from now on.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. He takes risks, but I have a feeling he's a smart kid. I think he's going to learn from that, and we'll see.
Cool. Great episode. Absolutely great episode. Loved it.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, man, this show is finishing strong.
I want more people to see it. It's bugging me. It's really bugging me that it's on this obscure channel that not everybody can see. I hope all of you that are listening have found a way to get it somewhere out there. I just can't say enough good about it, and I wish it would go on NBC so more people could enjoy it. I think they're sleeping on it. I don't think they're giving it. I think just because it's kids, it doesn't matter. I think it's entertaining in its own right.
Yeah, I'm curious because part of me is like, well, maybe they're testing it on this channel, and maybe it'll replace Ninja versus Ninja proper. That said, I mean, the audience on NBC or USA or whatever else, I don't know if the executives are looking at that and being like, the audiences don't mesh. I just don't know. I'm very curious to, hear the thoughts in terms of NBC about this show and everything. But I mean, man, feel the OG's pains when it comes to, ANW proper, seasons 1 through 3, it was on this obscure network G4.
Right.
And it's like, this show is so good, but nobody's watching it, right? Universal Kids is probably worse than G4 though. I just don't know the numbers, but ooh, I mean, I really have to struggle to find any way of watching this other than buying it. So there's that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this format, even if it's not kids, even if you talk about Ninja versus Ninja, Team Ninja Warrior, like, to me, that's the future of ninja sports. Now, I'm not saying that, ANW has to go away, and obviously there's a place for it, and it's, we love it. But I feel like if you want to talk about appealing to the masses, appealing to the casual viewer, and having an entertaining viewing and sports, like even as an audience member, this is the way to do it. This is the way to make Ninja have a broader appeal and grow the sport. Yeah. Definitely feel that.
It's very easy to watch for even the most casual viewers. It's basically the most sport heavy version of Ninja Warrior obstacle course, however you perceive it. I mean, I guess other than official sports of, like Spartan World Champions or blah, blah, blah. But we're not talking about that.
Right. So it's easily understandable, right? You have a race. You don't have to worry about backstory. If you're standing there in the crowd, you don't need to know what this person did or that person did. Whereas the backstories and stuff really add a lot to the regular Ninja show. This one doesn't need it. It's a race. Everybody understands that.
Yeah. That's it. Don't get rid of the stories, guys. But
no,
yeah.
They do help a little bit. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Well, first of all, get ready, y'all, because next week is going to be a doozy of an episode. Like, I just have a feeling Rich and I both are going to be, like, losing our minds. There's going to be a lot to say. So, do not miss that one. That's it. Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and have a wonderful week.
Peace, love, and deuces, y'all.